Hey Fee! Hey Tracy! What should we do today? Let's watch this hit TV show with girls like you and me. It's it we really like, and best of all, it's free! Square Eyes are watching Geek Girl TV! Square Eyes are watching Geek Girl TV! Amstrad, Spectrum, Papillon, Winery, Apple, Mac, Geek Girl TV! Television for the computer savvy.
Hello and welcome back to Geek Girl TV. I'm your Geek Girl host, Eve Park, the girl who's managed to designate Drive C through H. My theme song was created by The Days, which you can check out at myspace.com/TheDaysGirls. This is episode number 38. 38 is a bi-prime, meaning it's divisible by 1, itself, and 2 other numbers which are also prime. 38 is also the sum of the squares of the first 3 primes, and it is part of the first pair of consecutive integers not divisible by their own digits. So this week I'm going to read several viewer letters, like I do every week. But first I'm going to talk about heroes. So I don't know if you remember, but we at Clever Media had a Heroes cast during last season of Heroes, where we talked about each episode after it aired. And it was pretty popular, so I imagine we'll do it again with this new season that starts September 24th. But in addition to the episodes, there's all these internet materials available out there, including an entire alternate reality game. I have to admit that I haven't really been keeping up on the extra materials during the hiatus. But Wireless sent me an email recently saying to check out her blog again, so I did, and I found this article that was in Spanish. And she asked if anyone could translate for her, which I can, so I couldn't resist getting back into the whole alternate reality game. I pretty much figure that everybody's into Heroes, if not the alternate reality game, so I figured I'd just share this little piece with you. I'm not a professional translator or anything, so don't get picky on me, but this is pretty accurate. Mysterious deaths ignite rumors of cartel involvement. All the inhabitants of a remote town located south of the Vuapis River were found dead by hikers that explored the mountainous zones of the National Chiriviguete Park. The hikers, a man and a woman from the western United States, discovered the macabre scene when they arrived at the town and described it as only something the devil could have done. The pair prefer to remain anonymous. Exploring the scene in more detail, they discovered dozens of bodies, which had a filmy substance over the eye area. We saw the town from the mountain, and since we were running out of water, we decided to go down and fill up. There were no signs of life when we entered. It was as if life stood still and the world kept going. A medical team was invited to the scene, but still have not announced the cause of the tragedy. The area, long since believed to be a hideout for the Borjas cartel, is rich in natural resources. Many indigenous live in these regions and speculate that the residents of the town were used as peons in a dispute between the Borjas and a group of builders that tried to acquire a part of this remote region. Up until the time of printing, no survivors have been found. So there you go. We know that the cause of death is a new hero, but who could it be? Could it be the guy who's supposed to be worse than Siler? I actually don't think so, but I do worry about the couple who stumbled upon this scene. Could they be heroes? Perhaps the tragedy happened when they tried to confront whoever did this. Or perhaps it actually was one of them who did it on accident, on purpose? Who knows? We may be able to recognize them later on through the reference that they're from the western United States. It just makes me wonder, because if I stumbled upon a town that was all dead, I wouldn't get too close. I'd be afraid I'd catch whatever they got. Let the medical team in hazmat gear go in first. The whole reference to the cartel also makes me wonder if that's not going to be a storyline included soon. It could be that the hero actually is part of a Central American cartel. At first it seems like it's just a good cover story, but really they go into a little detail if it's not going to become important. They could have just said, local natives think that it may have been the result of a local land dispute. Period. The answer to these questions may already be in the online comic books or something, but I haven't gotten to those yet. Anyway, now let's read some letters. New Letor member Geekman suggests that potential Letor applications include that hero's weakness, which is a good idea because all superheroes have a hubris, They're kryptonite. Though I can see how some heroes might not want me to share that information with the Geek Girl audience, lest villains be watching. If that's the case, that's cool. Just let me know if any of your application is confidential. If you'd like to apply to be a member of the Letors, my grassroots superhero team, just send your name, superpower, and for uber special elite status, include a picture. Send that to geekgirl@clevermedia.com. Geekman says that his weakness are geek girls. My weakness is Coca-Cola. It's not so much like kryptonite, but more like Tilk on Stargate needs trotonin each day. The bartender, who has the power to turn any liquid into any other liquid, writes in and tells me that geocaching has a less technology-dependent predecessor called letterboxing. Letterboxing is said to have started in England in 1854 when a Dartmoor National Park guide, James Perrot of Chagford, left a bottle by Cranmere Pool with his calling card in it and an invitation to those who found the bottle to add theirs. Eventually, visitors began leaving a self-addressed postcard or note in the jar, hoping for them to be returned by mail by the next visitors. Thus, the origin of the term letterboxing. Letterbox is a British term for mailbox. Letterboxing is similar to geocaching, and you can learn all about it at letterboxing.org. The major difference, as I see it, is that in letterboxing there is no central database of where the boxes are hidden. In fact, some letterboxes can only be found out about via word of mouth or via clues that are left in other letterboxes. And sometimes those clues have instructions to move around to other letterboxes in the area, making the whole thing a lot more secretive. Letterboxing also isn't dependent on a mobile GPS. It appears to use more old-fashioned instructions, such as X many paces due west from a particular landmark. Instead of mailing things the way letterboxing got started, it revolves around collecting rubber stamps. For example, when you find a letterbox, it'll have a logbook and a rubber stamp inside, and probably an ink pad. And what you're supposed to do is you're supposed to take a rubber stamp that you carry around with you, and you stamp it in the logbook to prove that you've been there, and you sign your trail name. Then, you also carry around with you your own logbook, where you collect stamps from all the boxes that you've been to. The rubber stamp thing seems to be the coolest thing about letterboxing, and I think that we should encourage it in geocaching, which seems to be a lot more widespread. Lastly, I have a letter from Permacrash, who writes, "My secret identity would be a quiet, amicable guy with a dark past who's trying desperately to embrace his inner geekiness, but knows he's always just one error message or Internet Explorer has encountered a problem away from turning into a hulking mass of anger, frustration, and fear that would hurl its computer through the nearest wall and, with a deafening roar, lay waste to its cubicle and those around it, and finally, bursting through the aforementioned wall, making its escape while taking out cars and trucks along the way, perhaps to wake up in another city having to find," cue the ending theme music to The Hulk, "another corporate job." Unfortunately, the Letors are not able to extend membership to Rogue Supers. However, Permacrash, we offer our assistance should you ever need it. That's all I have time for today, but I hope to see you next week. And remember to send your questions, comments, and feedback to geekgirl@clevermedia.com. This episode of Geek Girl was brought to you by the drive letter H and the number 38. Meow.